Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Bruce Nelson, and I'm a licensed psychologist and the newest member of the Maryland AARP Brain Health Work Group. And I'm very excited to be here today to have a chance to interview in a very special person, Dr. Tiffany Daniels. Tiffany is a U.S. Army veteran. She also is in the role of the Senior Information Specialist at the U.S. Department of Commerce and is a chaplain for the Veterans of Foreign War. She's a yoga and mindfulness teacher and brings incredible expertise to both her military service and her work in mindfulness, supporting the mental health and well-being of our veteran community. As we approach Veterans Day on November 11th, the day marking the sacrifices of veterans, along with Armed Forces Day and Memorial Day, it's important to recognize the critical role of mental health care in supporting veterans. As we approach the studies show that suicide can impact as many as 126 people, and tragically, we lose 20 veterans to suicide every day. What's even more alarming is that 11 out of those 17 veterans are not connected with the VA healthcare system, making it difficult to reach them with the care they need. This makes today's discussion even more important, as we'll be addressing ways to promote mental well-being, share mindfulness practices, and point listeners to the critical resources available for support. So today, Tiffany will share her journey, her work, and how mindfulness is making a positive impact on the mental well-being of the veteran community. Welcome, Tiffany. And are you ready for some questions?
All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for that introduction, Bruce.
Okay. So Tiffany, thanks for being here. Could you start by telling us the story of how you became interested in mindfulness and whether it developed during your time serving in the U.S. Army?
Well, it definitely did. During my tenure, a couple of deployments, and then just duty within itself, I had a couple of injuries. And as I was going to the chiropractor, acupuncturist, pain management, it was one day in a visit with my neurologist. And the neurologist actually said to me, okay, we need to put you on a temporary profile so you'll stop doing the push-ups and the sit-ups. And I want you to look into planks. And I'm like, okay, planks? That's, we underestimate planks. We're like, that's just still, being still. She says, no, go to a yoga studio, find a class, and start doing planks on your spare time. But start doing yoga, start doing the movements, and that will keep your agility, your muscles, and your balance. It will keep all of that intact, strengthen your core, and it will give you the same workout as the rugged workout that you're doing for PT while you're on this temporary profile. But it will allow your back to start, your areas to start healing, and then we'll reassess to see if we need to go back to the full workout that is required of you. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Interesting how that came into your life. Inspiring. How did mindfulness practice evolve into teaching others, particularly veterans? And what motivated you to share it with those in need?
Well, I found that it was definitely working for me because I did not fail a test after that. And it was helping subside the pain. However, I hadn't thought about sharing it with others because I figured everybody was doing what worked for them. I was a fitness facility owner at the time, and I ran across a special, or I guess I should say a challenge that an organization called Give an Hour was doing. And Give an Hour was founded by Dr. Barbara Van, I'm going to mess up her last name, Dahlen, Dahlen. But at the time, she was promoted from President Obama to head the task force for suicide, mental health and suicide prevention. She's the CEO of Give an Hour. I had seen some of their articles and the challenge to just ask people to give 1 hour a day to veterans or to those that are in pain, giving them mindfulness. It didn't say it had to be yoga, but just giving them 1 hour for their fitness. And I said, okay, I can open my studio and give them 1 hour and we will do yoga because that's what's been working for me. So instead of them coming in and doing that hour, doing strength training and all of that, I said, let me offer them that hour of mindfulness because I felt like that is what had really helped me get over some of the issues that I had been dealing with. So I said, let me share the best with the rest, right?
Okay. Um, some of our listeners may not be familiar with the practice of mindfulness. So, how would you define what mindfulness is and what is the main benefit for individuals and especially veterans? If you could comment on that as well.
Oh, yes. Well, one of the main benefits is the breath work. So, for mindfulness, when you have a chance to step away into your own space. A lot of us take our breathing for granted. So we breathe very shallow on a day to day basis, just daily. So when you come in tune with the deep breaths and the mindfulness, and then the adding the movement with it, then your body is put at ease. So that is something that I never imagined until I started doing it also. Just taking the time for that. And then meditation comes along with it. And you can meditate however the individual likes to, but just that quiet time with the breath work means or does a lot for our bodies,
Mm.
mentally and physically. Yeah, mentally, physically, and if I may say spiritually as well for those that you like to do that.
And have you found veterans responsive and having benefit in as you work with them?
Yes, yes. It was a lot are hesitant, or some are hesitant, I should say, and a lot of people have questioned it because of the background that surrounds it. To say, and a lot of things that they've seen on TV or read, and they're like, "Well, how can this help me as a veteran?" I am, I'm here as we're taught, to be all that we can be, invincible, and all of these things. So, how can breath work and mindfulness help me?
Mm,
So, as I demonstrate or share with them,
mm,
then they become more curious, and eventually, if they come to a class, then I have the opportunity to work with them just to help them. And I say, don't just come one time. Give me a few opportunities. Let's test it for a week. And then you come back and you tell me how you feel.
I want you to know I'm already monitoring my breath as you share your story. So it does make a
Okay.
difference. Yeah.
Well, if I may,
Um,
for our listening audience, can I share with them for just a
uh,
moment? Won't be long. If
it's
the listening audience, if you're seated now, if you're driving, don't do this, but you can with your eyes open because all we're going to do is breathe, and it's so easy because I have trained myself now when I'm even in tense situations on the road with all the road rage that we have to just take some deep breaths, and it does not interfere. All right, it doesn't interfere with the breathing, but we're going to take a deep breath together through the nose, but we're going to bring that breath from the diaphragm. So we're going to bring it into the diaphragm all the way up to our chest, and you'll feel your chest rise. And then as you exhale, just release through your nose, and you'll feel that release. And a calmness will come over you as you release that breath. And if you do that maybe 5 times, just breathing at your own pace, and you don't have to be in sync with me, but a deep breath in and then release it.
mm,
And I will tell you, if your atmosphere does not start to change by then, and the trick is nobody has to know you're doing it. If you're in an area or where there's confrontation or like I said, stress or anything else going on, Nobody has to know that you're doing this. Sometimes they say count to 10, nobody has to know you're doing it. And you are releasing so much. And we don't want to talk about all the chemicals going on in the brain. We're not going to go into a science class, but just knowing that you're releasing so much that we normally keep pin up within ourselves. And that helps in so many areas, not just with fitness. So thank you for allowing me to share
Yeah,
that.
yeah, important, and in some ways very simple if you
Yeah.
take the time to practice. In your experience, let's talk a little bit about different groups you've worked with. Any observations about differences with gender in responsiveness to mindfulness practices, and maybe elaborate on what, if anything, you've observed specifically with different groups or veteran groups or whomever you've
Mm.
spent time teaching.
Mhm. So I noticed that when I do get the men to come in, they prefer in person, and the females prefer virtual. And that's for various reasons. But it's, when you're in a setting and people are looking at you or people are watching you, then the men can sometimes be very apprehensive because they'll say, I can't do that. And that takes something for them to admit that they can't do something and for us to take the time to walk through it. So we try to give options for the movements and even for the breath work. We just go slowly so that everyone can catch on. And remember, if the class is virtual, you can't do hands on, right? So you have to be able to demonstrate for them to see it. But for reasons within, I guess, our military culture, the females are very apprehensive of coming in person when there's a setting, male and female, in the room or in the space together. But the biggest challenge I've had is just men saying, that's not going to help me. They'll just say from the beginning, that's not going to help me, or I'm not going to do that. And I just ask them to just try it. Just try it. Mhm.
So a little more need to facilitate getting the male veterans to.
Yeah.
That's very
Yeah.
interesting difference.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, kind of it evidence is starting to accumulate on the benefits of mindfulness and paced breathing, as you discuss. What do you know about some of the physical and mental health outcomes and benefits that occur from practicing this technique?
Oh, yeah. So with the Veteran Yoga Project, the CEO and founder, Dr. Levy, was a psychologist, and he has a lot of data surrounding the brain waves and the different responses from the brain, even with the breath. But some of our key takeaways as we teach are with the mindfulness program is we want to base it on not just the breath work, but meditation, and then the movement, mindful movement. That is you focusing on the movement, not focusing on how well or how bad or difficult the movement is, but just allowing your body to flow through the movement. Now, I'm not saying Tai Chi or anything, right? But allowing your body to be be as one with the movement as you do the movement. And then to be able to move into a guided rest from there. So we have 5 principles, and I'm going to read them, okay? So with the breath work, the meditation, the mindful movement, and the guided rest, those are the pillars there, right? But then at the end, the main one is to give gratitude. So nobody's there to judge you. Nobody's there to say you did good or you did bad. At the end of the session, you are giving gratitude for showing up and for allowing yourself to even be in the space to try it or to do it. And to giving gratitude at the end is like, all right, I did that and it wasn't so bad. And I can walk away with that felt great too. So that's a gift to yourself as well. So that's what, and what we've noticed is as people come back, they do de-stress. You can see in their faces and in their movement that the stress is being released. not just from, we're smiling more, we're not as tense, and I can see it as they start to come back. And a lot of times the pain will dissipate. We ask two things when they sign in at the beginning of the course, and that is pain levels and stress levels, because we want to de-stress. So at the beginning, you put your levels in from 1 to 10. And then when you leave, we ask them to put their levels in. And of course, the levels do drop. Now that's pain and stress, the de-stress there. And that's how they gather their data for the
Yeah,
studies. Mhm.
yeah. It sounds like every one of us could benefit from this practice.
Most
Um,
definitely. Mhm.
yeah, share a little bit about your work over time with participants in your mindfulness program, in terms of opening up their responsiveness to the technique and how they evolved over time, both at the individual level and across multiple sessions.
I have definitely seen an increase of range of motion.
Mhm,
Like I said, I've been given reports back of from spouses of them being not quite as on edge as
mhm,
they normally are. So they're in their relationships or conversations, their patience has increased, or just their ability to participate in more things because that stress is being reduced. But I will also say within the range of motion, the gates. When you think that you are doing a movement or a stretch or a pose to your full ability. And I can see within the gates changing where an arm was not straight at one time. It may have been like this. And
mm,
eventually that arm starts to come up like this. So that gate or that window to be able to fully move in those areas, that has increased a lot. And like I said, in the beginning, I will have military members say, I can't do that, you know, and they may
mm,
be here, but eventually we get closer and closer to being able to fully move their extremities or to be able to move into the movement, the poses all the way. Mhm.
yeah,
So
fascinating,
it's a joy to be able to see that growth. Yes.
right?
And
And
a
so,
relief for them because they didn't realize that they were tight or tense in those areas.
so helpful. Yeah. Uh,
Yes.
Now, let's go to the fact that you're a yoga instructor as well. And what positive mental health benefits have you seen coming and witnessing through your yoga practice and movement based mindfulness?
Oh, well, for me, I will say that it's a game changer, and it's been a lifesaver for me as well because you have to practice what you preach, but I also have to practice. Okay, I want to change up my class today, especially so what am I going to do different? So it causes me to do double, so I get to share in my practice and partake of my practice. So we're still working on my sleep because at one time I was not able to sleep at all. So the pain does decrease in a lot of areas where I'm not going to pain management 2 and 3 times a week anymore. But the pain still exists, but I don't have to go for pain management and then don't have to get the shots like I used to. So it is helping me as well. It's helping me as well. But the movement, and I mean, not to say that it's supposed to help with weight loss or, but it helps maintain because you're constantly moving. And there's different types of yoga. And people say, I'm not going to sweat. Yes, you will, because you're using your larger muscles. You're just breathing the proper way, heats up your body, and the movements with the larger muscles. So you can sweat in chair yoga. So people underestimate yoga. You're using all of your larger muscles. So that is the positive there, that you are keeping your body, and movement is so important for us, especially today with most of us working sedentary jobs. Movement right there, taking a break at your desk. The breath work that we did earlier, or just moving your arms. And there's so many things you can do with chair yoga while you're sitting right there, or just stand up and move and strike a pose, as they say. Yes. Mhm.
Somewhat similar question, but allowing you to elaborate even further. Obviously, movement-based interventions like yoga are now having accumulating scientific backing for their benefits. Biggest advantages for our viewers to perhaps integrate these types of mindfulness practices into their existing lives, and a tip too on maybe how they can incorporate into their daily schedule or daily life, so that type of thing. So feel free to elaborate on those types of challenges you confront.
Okay, well, for those that do work a 9 to 5, I would say incorporate it so that you set your clock like every 50 minutes on the hour to try to move. Drink your water and move. If you can't go out of the space and take a walk, then move your body, breathe on 50 minutes of the hour. And again, it doesn't impact your work. Nobody has to know what you're doing. If you're at home, the same thing. If you're working from home, I would say the same thing. The breath work, I will say, if we have to look at the areas that you're moving, even when you just breathe, breathing properly, that is your entire core that you are engaging there. You can tighten your glutes, tighten your core. You can even tighten your core is your abs. If anybody doesn't know, your core is your abs, right? So you're tightening, and your glutes are your bum, okay? So if you're not aware of those muscle groups, and then even your triceps and your biceps within your arm, if you just tense and hold, squeeze and hold, and then release with a breath work, you are engaging those muscles, but you'll also feel the relaxation when you release. And that is so soothing. And if you can try that on the hour, even while you're in a meeting, you know what I mean? If you do those things, you will see the stress in your life decrease. You will see the tension in your life start to decrease so much. So when you're having an anxiety, stressful moment, anxiety, or anything else, even for sleep, notice the difference. You start being aware of the difference. And when you get ready to rest, that's what you focus on, the difference, not where you're coming from or what was in the past or what used to be, but focus on the difference that you're feeling.
Excellent stuff. Um, Given the time, let me just give you a chance to, obviously the questions were somewhat focused, but anything that you feel our viewers may need or want to know that we didn't cover in the questions that I asked.
Well, I will say that again, Veteran Yoga Project, they are there free of charge, so you don't have to have a gym membership. You don't have to rush to a fitness facility. We have virtual classes and we have in-person classes, but the classes are free to military members, veterans, so I say military active duty, the spouses, caregivers. And if you are in your house and you're attending a virtual class, it's like, come on, family, it's time for us to move together. And just like when we're supposed to eat, break bread together, we don't do that a lot anymore. So spend that time together with the whole family in a setting where you can take on healing, but you're also spending quality time with your family. So look us up. Our website will be in the credits, but look us up and move your body. Movement is so essential for our healing, but it also plays such a big part on our mental health. And with the mental health, we are combating suicidal ideations. So move your bodies, breathe, do your guided rest, and see the improvements that go on within your life. So
Yeah.
thank you guys so much.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Extremely valuable information you've shared with our viewers, and very much appreciate your joining us. It's been wonderful to hear how mindfulness and movement practices can positively impact the well-being and mental health of our viewers, and we appreciate the time and dedication that you have provided to others. So before we wrap up, I just want to mention to our listeners that we have some important resources available to support those in need. And the resources are presented on the screen. They include the Veterans Crisis Line, Veterans Affairs Mental Health Resources, the AARP Brain Health, 6 Pillars, important stuff, and Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services, known as SAMHSA website. So thank you again, Tiffany, and thank you to everyone who tuned in today. Together we can make a difference. And for our audience today, if anyone's interested in getting involved as a volunteer with a focus on brain health, we encourage you to join our team by emailing us at md@aarp.org. So once again,
Right.
I hope you have a great day. Thank you. And I'm
You
now
too.
going to be mindful about breathing before I go drive on the interstate.
That's great. That's great. Thank
Well,
you.
bye-bye.